The truth is, at a time when computers were men with pencils and only fruit flies and rhesus monkeys had ever been into space, saying anything meaningful about how the universe came into being just by looking at the stars was exceptionally difficult. In 1929, however, a man called Hubble had looked into the night sky with his telescope and noticed an extraordinary thing, a remarkable observation that would precipitate the revolutionary idea that Professor Hoyle would eventually sneeringly label the Big Bang. What Hubble saw from his mountaintop in California was that the steady, old, dependable universe was in fact anything but. Galaxies, he noted, were hurtling away from each other at alarming speeds. On the eve of the Great Depression, a universe in chaos was the last thing people wanted to hear about. The reason that Hubble knew this intergalactic weirdness was in full swing was down to some thoroughly uncontroversial physics. Demonstrated with admirable surrealism by Horizon in 1978.
This Baroque experiment was actually first tried by a Dutch physicist in the flatlands of Holland, steam engine, uniform bandsman and all. The schoolmasterly enthusiasts beside a canal in Kent have repeated the experiment for us in the same way, probably for the first time in 140 years.
Yes, half a semitone, do you think?
Yes.
And what speed do you think he was doing? 40
I think
kilometers?
about 40 kilometers.
The expert trumpeters on the train certainly held their pitch constant at a middle C, but listeners on the ground heard the tone change as the locomotive puffed by. It was the physicist Christian Doppler of Prague who first pointed out 150 years ago that such a change of pitch would be expected whenever a steady source of waves moved with respect to an observer. Today, we call it the Doppler shift. Approaching, higher pitch, shorter waves. Receding, lower pitch, longer waves.
Yes, semitone.
About a semitone.
The Doppler shift is just about symmetrical. Whether source or listener moves, the effect is there.
But what do trains and trumpeters have to do with galaxies? It turns out that the Doppler shift also applies to light. By measuring changes in the wavelength of light emitted from galaxies, Hubble was able to figure out that galaxies were flying away from each other. And receding galaxies could mean only one thing. The universe was expanding.